Welcome everyone to Season 3, Episode 92 of the Premier Pod. I'm your host, Yash Pika, joined by my co-host, Tyler Chan. In this episode, it's not necessarily talking about the games, but more talking about some broader topics that are affecting sort of the Premier League and basically all of European soccer. We first wanted to get it started with Cristiano Ronaldo, former Manchester United player, wearing the Manchester United kit right here. Unfortunately tested positive for COVID, I believe 2 days ago, or because we're recording this on Thursday, I think it came out on Wednesday or Tuesday. He tested positive. The worrying sign was that a day before he tested positive, he literally took a large group, like family dinner picture with literally the entire Portuguese national team members. Literally everyone was crunched together. It was like, dang, are we really in like COVID times right now? So that was a little worrying. However, the good news is that none of the Portuguese players have tested positive. The only one that tested positive is Cristiano Ronaldo. Everyone else has tested negative. But the bigger question that a lot of people have been talking about is the idea of having international friendlies basically during Corona time, because we've seen in other leagues such as the NBA, the WNBA and such, if you have the teams and the players within a bubble with very strict regulations, and if they break the rules, they're like kicked off the team or suspended for a very long time, you can basically control the virus. And we saw that with the NBA, which literally finished up their season on Sunday, had zero positive test for coronavirus during that entire time they were in the bubble. So the biggest thing is the Premier League has done a pretty good job of daily testing, keeping players safe, following social, the guidelines and such. However, when it comes to the international friendlies, you have players sent out to other nations, to their home teams. They come back, they're playing against other European nations, and you don't know exactly what the national protocol is. There's a greater chance of the virus spreading. And then if that does, they come back to the UK, they spread it to people that are just not even soccer players, but just people in the UK, bring it back to the team. And now you have a whole outbreak, and now the season could be suspended. Not saying that's going to happen, but that has been a question that a lot of people have been bringing up. And I mean, I got to ask you, Tyler, I think it's kind of ridiculous that we are playing some international friendlies on a coronavirus timeline.
And in my opinion, I don't think we should have had them either. I think based on what we've seen in the NBA and NFL, at least, especially in the NFL, we've been seeing a lot more like injuries and a lot more like cases where, like in NFL, especially, traveling and like certain teams have gotten coronavirus more like spread out and easily. Like the Tennessee Titans, literally, like they had their game suspended because like 8 players got the coronavirus or something. It was insane.
It was wild. Staff members and everything.
Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking and I honestly don't really follow international friendlies. In my opinion, I think they should have just given them a break, just given them an extra week just to kind of recuperate, because I feel like rest would allow players to reduce the chance of injury. Maybe they can just, step back a little bit, not have to work as hard on their muscles and joints, because they don't really get that full training as they usually would in a regular season away from coronavirus and all that. So I think that's what I would have done. But then again, I'm not really in charge or know fully what goes behind the scenes of international friendlies. I don't really think they're getting that much ticket money either, or any revenue from much international friendlies. But I mean, a qualifying should be done for most of these other competitions like Euros, because it should have happened last summer. So I mean, like that should be all done. Like all this is just more for fun, or just like kind of getting this team chemistry in the international scene. But is it really worth it? I don't think so. Like we're seeing people like Ronaldo, like the healthiest guy in the world, like the most fit guy in the world, get coronavirus. Like top
tier everything,
Mm-hmm. And so in my opinion, I don't think it was worth it. I think we should have just taken that week and just everyone stayed in their teams, countries, their cities, and then like avoid all that travel, because people had to go from England to like South America or other parts of Europe, and as you said, bringing that virus, or maybe getting that virus spread from here to there, it's not really worth it for this competition especially.
It's crazy, because I know Portugal played France 2 days before the positive test result came, and literally, France has Mbappe, Paul, some of the world's biggest superstars, and those guys play for some of the biggest teams in Europe. and they're bringing, if they test positive, they could be bringing that virus back and not know it. So I don't know. It was such a big risk. I don't know why they did it, because as we've seen other leagues such as the NFL that don't really implement, they do have COVID protocols, but it's not the most strict compared to other, such as the NBA and such. And we've seen how if one player gets it, it could spread throughout the entire team. And now all of a sudden that team has to reschedule all their games, which pushes back all their other opponents, So it just leaves things in a kind of a way field. But the other unfortunate thing that did come out of this was Weston McKennie, the U.S. men's national team player, also tested positive for the coronavirus the day after Ronaldo, as you see from Tyler's reaction. So it's not, this virus, as we all know, does not care who you are, doesn't care how wealthy you are or how cool or how much soccer skills you got. It'll come after you. It's just like it'll come after anybody normal. So the bigger thing is just stay safe, everyone, because it's
stay safe.
Yeah,
and
it's a scary virus.
I mean, I would say soccer, in terms of the leagues that we do follow, like the Premier League especially, I feel like their protocols have been pretty good compared to other leagues we've been following in other sports such as NFL, college football, MLB, NBA. Like NBA, I think, is still the cornerstone for what should have been done for every sport. But I mean, like NFL, it definitely can't happen with that. And then for soccer, there is a lot of traveling that can't really be avoided. You can't bring everyone from England into one city. There's like 20 teams. Yeah. But I mean, NBA managed to do it. And in Disney World, there's no Disney World in England. So maybe that's why.
And I feel like they had the luxury because unless, they don't play on an actual pitch. It's, a court that you can just quickly wipe up and clean after each time. You don't have a risk of damaging the court. There's no way you could actually play back-to-back games on the same pitch and not have the pitch not get ruined. So it was interesting. But moving on to our other big, kind of talking point was Project Big Picture by that was basically what Project Big Picture is. It was basically not a protocol. It was what's the word I'm looking for? Almost
just like a revamp of
proposal,
the whole league.
Yeah,
proposal.
Yeah, pretty much. Proposal of revamping, like Tyler said, the entire English football league. And, this includes the Premier League Championship, League One, League Two, basically what you think of English Football League, all of that. And it was basically spearheaded by the owners of Manchester United and Liverpool. They were the biggest drivers. Yeah, basically us two. Biggest drivers towards creating this quote unquote Project Big Picture. And essentially some of the biggest points was that came out of this was the power would basically be held in the Premier League for the entire English Football League would be held by the top 6 clubs. So the clubs that have been in the Premier League the longest. So it include Arsenal, West Ham, Tottenham, Manchester United, Liverpool, and I believe Chelsea. I believe Chelsea would be the 6th club. And they would basically control, they would have the holding power for all the decisions that get made. So the problem would have been was if a new owner tried to come in or a new proposal or something of that nature tried to come through, they would only need 4 upvotes, because it would be basically 6 votes in total. That'd be crazy, because these big 6 teams would basically only do things that would basically be in favor of their club or favor of them, and it'll leave the other clubs hanging. And they wanted to get rid of the EFL Cup and the Community Shield. Obviously, we know the problem with that. If you get rid of the EFL Cup, a lot of these smaller teams rely on the ticket revenue and the funds, because literally Manchester United, there was an example. Manchester United played in the EFL Cup last year. They hosted one of the smaller teams at Old Trafford, and I believe the smaller team got around 600,000 from that game. And that literally paid for their staff, the manager, the player's salary, everything for about 3 or 4 months. That's insane. So eventually this was vetoed. Thank God it was vetoed. That was a smart decision by the Premier League to get this thing vetoed, because I don't think it was right to do this. I think it would make things completely unfair, and it would shift the balance so heavily to the bigger clubs, and basically the smaller clubs. It would basically make it to where we probably will never see a Leicester City ever again type of
performance run.
Because it just wouldn't be in their favor. It would just be so in the favor of teams such as Liverpool, Manchester United, Tottenham, Arsenal, the teams that have the money, that have the brand exposure and everything.
It's one thing for the Premier League to kind of have this style where, compared to NFL, NBA, there's like a salary cap, there's a wage cap, and that allows the teams to be a little bit more even amongst each other, amongst all 32 teams or things like that. But in the Premier League, the only cap is just financial fair play. So it's just the cap based on the ownership.
Yeah, which doesn't exist, but by the way, it's like it never works.
It never works. So, I mean, like, you can still see teams like City spending hundreds of millions of pounds and then just, getting threatened.
A write-off.
Yeah, and then you just get a write-off. It's like, all right, no, it's fine. No, don't worry about it. But, and then, I mean, it's like a big scare, but I mean, they still got away with it. And then, you still got other big teams like, Manchester United and Liverpool that are still spending a lot. While the smaller teams like Sheffield United, and I mean, Sheffield's still pretty decently large club, but I mean, compared to these two behemoths, like they're already a little behind. It's not really like a fair playing field as it is. And this new Project Big Picture would have been just making that gap even wider. And I'm thinking, even as a Liverpool fan, I'd rather the league be at least slightly more even amongst everyone. Because if you go into a game and you're just expecting a team to just sweep the other one, it's like, is it really going to be as interesting as, say, a good matchup between two teams that's like, all right, this might be a pretty even match. Like this Everton-Liverpool match, some way, somehow, this upcoming weekend is going to be a little bit more even than usual. Yeah. But I'm still looking forward to it. It's not going to be like a usual, like, oh, like Liverpool's for sure going to win. There's like a slight edge where it's like, Everton could sneak this.
Yeah. No, I get it. And you're, not trying to relate everything back to American sports, but this would kind of make it like college football where you see.
I was literally thinking that. You see freaking Alabama cheating like City, just getting everything.
Yeah, literally teams like Alabama, Georgia, the big programs that get all these 5-star players, and then they play Coastal Carolina that have, maybe at max a 3-star player is like their biggest prospect. And then, what ends up happening is it becomes a blowout defeat. And, it's never really exciting as a student when I used to go to those games because it's like, this game should be done by the first half. Maybe they hang around by the third quarter. But, at the end of the day, Georgia's going to win. So it would kind of make it like that. That would suck. It would make the Premier League less entertaining if literally you would just assume Liverpool face, I don't know, for example, hypothetically speaking, what if they face like Wickham or something and they're like, oh, this is easy dub. I mean, it may be an easy dub right now, but like completely easy dub, like no chance. Like almost every Premier League team that's not the top 6 is just a fledgling Premier League side.
Mm-hmm. And I also don't like how it will reduce the number of teams in the Premier League.
That either.
It'd be like the Bundesliga or like Serie A where it's only 18. That means like 4 less games. 4 less games in the season. That's actually a lot. So I'd rather it be 20 and then this old style that they do have of just, the bottom 3 goes up or bottom 3 goes down. And then the top 3 from the lower league goes up with the playoffs being the third one. And then also there is still a vote for every single team in the Premier League and every vote is the same. It's kind of like equality right now in America. It's like we're trying to strive for that and we should keep that in even sports too.
No, that's what I think. No, I agree. I think that's the way to go. And I feel like no matter who the club is, if you're in the Premier League, that's a huge accomplishment, no matter how long you've been there or how short you've been there. So you definitely deserve to have the stay that you need and such. But that was kind of pretty much Project Big Picture. I quickly wanted to mention, I guess like the last time we recorded, FIFA 21 had not come out yet to the masses. It's been out for a while now, for I guess like a week now, I guess, right? Or less, tomorrow would make it a week. But I know a lot of I don't know if you've watched any of the YouTube videos of like the Premier League teams such as Chelsea, City, Liverpool. Their players are reacting to their FIFA ratings and such.
Yeah, I've been seeing that.
Those are funny. Those are just funny because it's like, dang, you guys actually are the real players. So it's like they actually don't not everything's about pace in real life.
It's like, oh, mate. I remember the most memorable one I saw was like Daniel Sturridge looking at his, and he's like, mate, someone at EA needs firing. Someone needs firing, mate. It's like, what's this? What this is? Oh my. It's pretty remarkable. And one of the things that we predicted, or at least we anticipated, was that maybe FIFA 21 would mirror this 2020 season in real life, where there would be no fans. And unfortunately, in the game, there are fans. There's like crowd noise and everything, because they added that as like a feature in the stadiums and things like that. They recorded the crowd chants, like the songs that would be played after songs. Yeah. And also, like, you know how Bayern Munich plays like that orchestral song after they score every single time, at least in the Allianz Arena. They put like stuff like that into the game. And like those very sounds are also what's being boosted in these stadiums in real life, because there's no fans. So that's pretty crazy. And I also got to say kudos to all the teams still avoiding bringing fans in the stadium. I feel like that's definitely the safer route. You do lose the revenue.
I know Bundesliga has had, I believe Bundesliga has had maybe a couple here and there. They've like slowly opened up, like very little.
Not too crazy compared to, like, say, I have to call out UGA for this, but I'm very against it. But UGA, geez Louise, like we have
college teams in general.
Yeah, college teams, like they just like, you know what? F it. We're open for business. So, for example, Sanford Stadium, which is the UGA stadium, the home stadium in Athens, Georgia, it's, I think, a capacity of like 93,000, something like that. It's pretty insane. And they're saying, all right, let's just do a 15% capacity or something like that. And the last game, there was about 19,000 people in the stadium. I was like, what the heck? Why is stadium basically full?
Yeah, it's crazy. I know the name is blanking me. Sheffield United's manager. The name's blanking me.
Oh, Chris Wilder.
Yeah, Chris Wilder. He was a reporter asked him, what do you think about Bundesliga or the Premier League potentially talking about bringing fans back in the stadium this year? And he was like, well, I can't. How does that make sense? I can't even go visit my mom and give her a hug. I can't go visit her because I could potentially give her something that could kill her, So how does that make sense that, we're allowed to have fans, but I can't go hug my mom, So I was like, dang, that put things in perspective. As much as I want to have like real crowd energy and stuff, it's like, dang, like, unless something really does come, it's difficult. It's really tough because you're towing with like, you want the emotional side of things and you got to think logically. It's tough. It's tough. Yeah. I don't know. That's why I'm glad I'm not the person in power, because it's a lot of tough answers, a lot of tough questions that are put in front of you for these things.
Yeah, and it's not easy because there's just going to be a lot of people breathing down your neck. Like, we're losing revenue. We're losing revenue, like not having fans. And it's like fans is like the biggest part of like certain sports.
Yeah, ticket sales and such.
Yeah, ticket sales and like, certain clubs, certain teams need that. But at the same time, it is not really worth the risk of like just even one person dying. It's like it's like just take the L. It's just 1 year, and it is going to be tough on those teams that are maybe only in the Premier League for this 1 year, like Fulham. But and other teams that might be in the relegation zone, or maybe teams that might be winning the title this year. It's like losing out on the experience of seeing that live will be big, but I feel like this is a bigger thing. This coronavirus thing is a lot bigger than that. And it's just up to everyone to just kind of, take the lumps for this year. And then it's just like, what, there'll always be another year. We just got to make sure we get through this year first and not like cheat it.
I know.
Because
we're almost close with the ending of 2020. What a year, man.
It has been a crazy year, especially like
it's so long too this year.
It feels really long. But I remember when we first started coronavirus, like the quarantine, at least in the US, everyone was wearing long sleeves then still. And then now we're back to wearing long sleeves again.
I was still in college.
Yeah, I was just still in college. I was working, but I also just recently found out at this point now, I've been working from home as much as I've been working in the office. Like it's like equal now in terms of like time.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, but also at the same time, like that's how much we've kind of grown in terms of like sports too. Like you see in a lot of other sports kind of not prepare for this, like the NFL. And then you see other teams, other sports like NBA and the Premier League and other leagues adapt to this pretty quickly, in my opinion. Yeah. Like, kudos to them for that.
There was someone that, is the last thing on this, but there was someone that made a tweet. If you were to ask anyone, any sports fan at the start of coronavirus, when literally everything shut down, that in the month of October, you'd be having MLB, Premier League, basically any European soccer league, NBA, NFL, all coming down. And maybe you have, a couple bad instances of, closing downs and stuff. Everybody would have taken it. So I think that's always a good thing to remember, just to kind of put things in perspective that, it's still pretty crazy that we're able to still play, live action sports,
That's true. Like,
crazy.
Even Yash and I during the summer, we're just thinking, it's like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
It's what are we going to do for the pod? Because it's like only so much we can just think about or like just come up with ideas for on the spot. But I mean, that kind of draws us to some of our new ideas, because like we just mentioned FIFA 21, and Yash and I actually streamed some of our first matches, because we always play each other as our first matches for every new FIFA, going back to, I believe, FIFA 18. Like we just
17,
or 17. We used to play live though, like in either my dorm or his dorm or apartment or things like that. And now, since we're all like at home, like kind of away, we did it live, and I streamed it on my Twitch. So twitch.tv/Hawkpun. That's HAUKPUN. So we'll be streaming that, and that's like a little mini version of how, I guess, not like the podcast, but just like how it kind of started, because like we're just playing, but also talking about just random soccer things as we play. So like kind of like that's like how even our idea of the pod started too. So if you guys are interested to see, how we do in in FIFA, at least follow us on Twitch, or follow me on Twitch, and then you'll see us occasionally play some games, and maybe we'll post some of those links when we play on the Premier Pod Twitter or like Instagram, because like this last week when we did it was more like a test run. But if anyone is interested and has a Twitch, be sure to follow us, and then we'll do some more streams in the future, because that also gives us an excuse to play FIFA and also make it be somewhat productive.
Exactly. Knock two birds in one stone. But
exactly.
Check out Tyler. He's pretty good at Warzone too. He's got some cool
that's like
clips.
A way different thing from soccer, but it is what it is. But maybe we can do more potential streams for live Premier Pod episodes, because that was the original goal, to try to get a Twitch going so we can do live Premier Pod episodes. But we see how the logistics behind that work, because right now we're recording on Zoom, but if to get two cameras into one stream, that's something we're gonna have to figure out. But
that'll definitely be like some planning and such. But be on the lookout for that. But that kind of wraps up like the, I guess, like this like main topics we want to talk about. We want to jump into the preview section. We have some huge games coming on this weekend. Obviously the Premier League is back. We have, I would say, all right, I'll save the best one for last. I'm going to start off with Leeds versus Wolves. This is a good matchup because Leeds are, in a way, essentially the next version of Wolves. I mean, we saw when Wolves first came in the Premier League, they were the exciting side, had a lot of attacking talent, a lot of flair, players that excited you, a manager that knew how to get the most out of his players. And we seeing that with Leeds, with Bielsa, Hedler Costa, Patrick Bamford. There's so many players like Rodrigo and such that hopefully can get going in the Premier League, because he's a good player. But this will be a fun. I think I'd probably give the upper advantage to Leeds, actually. I think Leeds get like a 2-1 victory over Wolves.
I will say like this game is very much going to determine, I believe, who tops the other at the end of the season, because right now Wolves has been like the favorite to like kind of sneak into that kind of like top 7, top 8 kind of position, to maybe sneak into Europa League again. But I mean, a lot of people, myself included, I think Leeds has a pretty good chance of sneaking into that spot and maybe challenging for Europa League too, because they've been surprisingly good. Like we were anticipating they would get mid-table for sure, but not like potentially taking down these top 6 teams or giving them as clean of a fight as we've seen so far in the very, very early stages of the season. I mean, who knows? A lot of things can change from here to the end of the season. Like, that one time we saw Watford get that huge run in the very beginning of the season.
I went back one of these days, one of the days, and I looked at like our beginning episodes, and one of our episode titles, Watford the new Leicester. I was like, wow, I actually forgot that time Watford were like on a tear. What was like 4 wins in a row or something like that?
Yeah, it was something crazy. And then they became
fell off.
Yeah, and then it was just
they fired their manager.
Yep. So it was just a fluke is basically what happened. But I don't think Leeds is a fluke. I think they're here to stay, and I think Bielsa is the reason why they're doing so well.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think there's some like structure in there. There's some infrastructure that is just going to keep them trucking. It's going to be like Sheffield United from last season. And I think they can sneak it in. And for me, I'm going to agree with Yush. I think Leeds are going to win. I think they might win a little bit more than just 2-1. I think it might be... Well, I guess it'll be the same margin, but I think it'll still be by 1 goal. But I think it'll be a 3-2, something like that. It'll be crazy because Leeds, their defense is kind of meh, not gonna lie, but their attack though.
They were leaking goals like crazy.
That's true.
And then we have Manchester City versus Arsenal. You might be surprised why this isn't the top matchup. Usually, this is, if you were to put this matchup on any weekend, this would probably be the number one. But we got a better one saved up. But this one will be interesting. We have student versus teacher. Part 2, because student versus teacher part 1 was Bielsa and Pep Guardiola, where Bielsa was a teacher, Guardiola was a student. Now Guardiola's a teacher, Arteta's a student. So this one's going to be interesting. City have not looked very good this season, the start of this season. Their defense has looked very bad. The signings of Nathan Ake has not done them any good. Hopefully maybe Ruben Diaz will be semi-decent, but that's the name, right? I got the name right.
Yeah. But I'm just like Ruben Diaz. Who would have thought?
Yeah, the Portuguese center back. But yeah, I don't know. I think Arsenal go into the Etihad and win. I think they actually win. I think they win 2-1. I'm going to 2-1 again, but I think Aubameyang is definitely much better than anyone on the City backline, and Willian can cause people threats. You know, especially if they play Lacazette, I think they can do enough interplay there. Thomas Partey might actually get a start too. You know, Arsenal have things cooking. So I'm going to go with the hot team with Arsenal to get the win here.
That's a pretty good take. But at the same time, we have this international break to cool down any hot streaks that could be going. So you have to worry about that. And also, I think Pep Guardiola is going to get smacked in the face by the owners if they keep this kind of terrible trend running, because they're not even top half of the table, I believe. Last time I checked.
No, they're literally I think they're 1 or 2 spots above Manchester United.
And Manchester United are in like the relegation battle right now. It's like, I mean, I kind of saw it coming a little bit in terms of Nathan Ake not being, Vincent Kompany-esque. It's just like, he's literally just the same Bournemouth defender that was on the relegated team. And I was like, all right. But he's still starting. He's really good in FIFA at least, but in real life, not really. And Ruben Diaz, I don't really know why they got him.
I think they just needed someone.
They needed more depth, but at the same time, I'm like, there's got to be other people.
They couldn't get Koulibaly, man.
Couldn't get Koulibaly. So it's like, we're going to get Ruben Diaz. And yeah, for all those listening, he's really that unknown. He's like
Ferran Torres.
Yeah, he's like Fernan Torres level. But I mean, no, even I've heard of Ruben Diaz before. He's one of the top center backs in the Portuguese league, Ligue NOS. But even then, I don't think he's the caliber needed for Man City. So even this matchup, I feel like it's pretty even. I'm not going to lie. I feel like Arsenal have brought in, even just Thomas Partey himself, like that's enough to kind of make it a little bit more even. And also just Man City, they just haven't looked like the Man City of previous seasons. Like it's just not, they just look like they lack firepower at times.
Yeah, and look like they lack focus too.
That too. I'm just like they're doing like those little mistakes that you see like in those Liverpool matches where it's just like, oh, that's something you usually wouldn't see from the player from this team. Well, Arsenal at the meanwhile, they've been doing things it's like, well, I haven't seen an Arsenal player do this since
a while.
Like under Wenger on the prime. You see like Ozil on the prime, but Ozil still at least paying Gunnersaurus his salary now, which is big on him. But this is a really long-winded way of me saying I think it's gonna be a draw. I think it's gonna be a 2-2 draw. It's gonna be a really good matchup, but I think there's gonna be one matchup that's even bigger than this. And
I know.
Yes, this is for you to take.
If you didn't know, Just look at Tyler's jersey, He's rocking the Liverpool kit right now, and it is the Merseyside derby that is on 7:30 in the morning in American Eastern time on Saturday. So it's going to be a huge game. It's probably the first Merseyside derby that I've seen that I really feel like is pretty evenly matched. I mean, obviously, Liverpool still have probably, they do have the better squad, but in terms of current form and everything, pretty evenly matched. You have Everton, who I believe are on top of the table right now, who've literally had a perfect start to the Premier League, and Liverpool, who are the defending champs. This is a big derby. I'm going to go. I think this game will actually finish 2-2 because I think Everton's defense is not good enough to keep a clean sheet. However, Liverpool's defense has shown that they've had lapses in their concentration, and Everton's attack in general with James Rodriguez and Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin especially, that guy literally cannot stop scoring. Like, that's incredible. He's like on a scoring tear, like a rampage right now. So I think their attack will give Liverpool enough problems defensively, but I think Liverpool's attack is too strong for Everton's defense to handle, and Pickford is probably going to make a mistake. He's prone to mistake here and there. Will Ali Sun be fit, or is it still going to be at the Adrian show?
I think it's still going to be a game time decision, but
oh no,
it's still looking like Adrian is going to be here for a while. It's going to be like the NFL Michael Thomas situation where it's like, is he back? And it's like, yeah, he'll be back next weekend. And it's like, oh, nope. And then it's next like, all right, maybe the week after. And it's been going on since like 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like that kind of situation where it's just kind of like bluffing. But I think Ali's son is going to be out for a little bit.
Oh, no.
So I think Adrian will be in goal.
So I think this game will finish 2-2. I think both goalkeepers are prone to mistakes, and I think that will basically be the biggest reason why the game finishes up 2-2.
Oh, no. This has been a prediction I've been a little scared to say because Everton, for once, look really good. And this is coming from a Liverpool fan. I think they legit look really good. But Liverpool also just came off a 7-2 defeat from Aston Villa.
I know.
Like, they can't be doing this stuff again. Like, no. Like, they can't be losing 2 matches in a row. So, especially to Everton, of all teams. So, I think that last game was definitely a wake-up call. If not, I'm going to be upset. I'll be like, what the heck was that? So, I think Liverpool are going to go in, although they're not going to be full squad without Ali's son. I think they're going to have enough. Maybe the old tactics will come back to them and be like, you know what, we gotta turn up, and then they'll get the dub. I think they'll get the win. I gotta believe in my team. So I think they're gonna win 3-2. I would have said 3-1, but Ali's son is not there, and I hope Adrian just pulls something out of his butt and manages to keep it under 3. But I gotta give it to Liverpool to win. And with Jordan Pickford, I'm gonna use the same argument I use for any team that faces Kepa. We have a chance to score at least 2 goals.
He's gonna make some stupid mistake. Man,
at least
that's crazy.
Twice or once.
Tyler's going for the high scoring affairs here. 2 3-2s and a 2-2, I believe.
We need Divock Origi to play though. That's the only thing. It'll be a guaranteed win if Origi plays.
Get subbed on like in the 90th minute.
Like, he can get subbed on in the 90th minute. He'll get at least 1 goal.
Dude, he's insane when it comes to Liverpool. When it comes to facing Everton.
He is literally one of the best subs of all time, in my opinion. Like he won Liverpool a Champions League trophy. Like, he was one of the reasons why. So other, super subs you can think of off the top of your head are like Chicharito.
Yeah.
I don't want to say Giroud likes that title, but
the Batman.
The Batman. Batshuayi. But I feel like Origi tops all of them in terms of super subs. Mm-hmm. So there you go. That is my prediction. Hopefully they prove me right. Yeah. Yes, we'll be covering them for NBC Sports.
Yeah. So I'll be up and early. So don't worry. I'll be able to see everything that's been going on.
That's actually crazy to still say. It's like you're going to be covering the game for such a big broadcast. We're like 2 college kids at one point, just like in our dorm recording this.
I know. That's crazy.
So wait, Yash, are you allowed to even say like what you're going to be covering specifically in terms of like social media or like what you're going to be using? So it's like if you see a post, you'd be like, oh, that was Yash. Are you allowed to say that?
I would say if you see on the NBC Sports Soccer Twitter page, it'll most probably be me on the early morning, some 7 to 3.
Dude.
So be on the lookout for that.
So not only do you have the Premier Pod to get you covered for this, but you also have Yash directly on NBC Sports doing the different stuff.
It'll be crazy. It'll be interesting. I getting adjusted to like the sleep schedule of waking up every 7:30 for every 7 a.m. just to get to these games, but it'll be fun. I'm really excited for this game because it's going to be a really good matchup. But yeah, that kind of wraps up our episode 92. It's not our normal typical episodes of a lot of topics, but there just really wasn't a lot of news that happened in the world of soccer during this international break. Obviously, the big coronavirus news and the Project Big Picture, but that was pretty much it. Nothing really out of the ordinary happened. But yeah, that kind of wrapped up episode 92. I hope you guys enjoyed like we got the video setup and everything. We're going to try doing more of this. So that was kind of one of our goals, try to do more video stuff and all that. So hopefully you guys like that. But guys, please make sure you give us a rating on Apple Podcasts. Leave a review on there. It helps us out on the to get our podcast basically out there for more people to view and listen. Make sure to subscribe and like our videos on YouTube, or follow us at the Premier Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Shoot us a question on there. We'll definitely reply back to you guys. We love to hear the feedback and everything. And yeah, we've been seeing a lot of strong support over the past couple of weeks with the podcast. So we really appreciate everyone that takes the time out of the day to listen. It means a lot to us. It means that we're putting out quality content for you guys, so that we do appreciate that. So thank you guys a lot for taking the time to actually just listen to what we have to say and everything. But yeah, that kind of does it for us for episode 92. Thank you guys so much. Peace.